So we saw how MVC creates a database by default if it does not exist. That's the default behavior. Now we want to see if what if for testing reasons we want to be able to create data every single time. We want to drop, if it already is there, we just don't care about it. We want our own data set. And this actually happens when we have, like boundary conditions we want to test, or when we want to check the page scrolling, how that works, because we need to have like a lot of data. We want it to be pre-populated every time. So in order for us to be able to like load a lot of data at the same time, every time we start the application because we are testing for something, the option that we want to use is to drop create always. That's what it's called as. So that's a class that's available for us that we can use. It is going to like override the default behavior of MVC. And then it is going to drop the table and create a new table with new data all the time. So in order for that, I don't want all of you to like sit and like type a ton of data. So I am going to be again providing you with the sample data.cs file. Copy it to your model folder and then include that, add existing item, sample data. Like I said before, if you open this sample data class, you can see that the namespace is really important. If you are having a different name, for your application, this is gonna give you like build errors, right? So you want to make sure that you update this part to point to whatever your database, whatever your namespace is for your MVC, whatever is your solutions name, you have to have that here. So then the model will get resolved. Okay, so this is where I have sample data, drop create database always. So what is this sample data? This sample data is a class, right? This is a sample data as a class, and it is derived from, it inherits from this drop create database always, right? It takes MVC Music Store DB. Again, something to think about. This is my context class, and that's why I'm using it. MVC Music Store DB is the name of my database context class. If you are using a different name, you have to modify this also. And I will put all this instruction when I put the lab information. So let's right click on this drop create database always and see what's inside it. So the drop create database always is derived from an initializer interface, right? Database initializer. So the idea behind this is to initialize the database. So it has the method called as seed. This is something that as a child class we can override, right? So seed is to kind of like plant data. That's the idea. So anytime you override this drop create always database and provide the seed method with information, because you inherited from the drop create database always, it changes the functionality to create a database even if one exists. The one that's already there will be deleted. The one that we had with the blue and red will be deleted. And new data from the seed method that we are creating in our sample data, this method will be added. So if you see here, there's a ton of data that's already ready. Looks like real data. So this will be input into our database. So this is nothing crazy here again. It's just creating, a list of genre. It's creating a list of artists. And then when it gets into albums, you can see that the album also has the genre and the artist, right? So it has a little bit more like here, genre equal to. So this is all like the link way of doing things, right? That's what's happening here. And then it is adding to the database context albums, and it's iterating through each album. So that's what's happening here. We will see a little bit more about like link, and I will also attach a link to link, the link language. So you get some idea about like the formatting and everything. Okay, so the idea of this sample data class is to actually insert data when the database gets initialized. But it does not happen automatically. There is no magic there. So we have to go in here to the global ASAX. So the file is called global.asax. It's under the music store application. It is not under any folder. It's under the main area where you see all the other folders, global ASAX. So this has a function called application start, which is going to get executed as soon as you call for this application, right? So this is where we actually have to go and initialize that data. So this is called as database.set initializer. Okay. So well, database.set initializer is not being recognized because we want to add that namespace here. If you go in here, system data entity, that is the namespace we want to add here. System.data. So we are saying set the initializer, but we are not saying what it's supposed to be here. So again, we want to set that, we want to use sample data, right? So here we want to like send new sample. Well, it doesn't recognize sample data because I am not defining that. I have to call that namespace, so sample data will be recognized.